Tylvia. How are
Hello.
you? Nice to see you.
You too.
Thank you for coming to the Cool Careers podcast. I really appreciate this. Is such an honor to have you here. You have a cool career, and I couldn't wait to talk to you today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Why don't, Tylvia, please introduce yourself to the Cool Careers audience.
Hello, my name is Tylvia Addoh. I am a wife and mom of a cute little 2-year-old. I currently work at the Pentagon for the Chief of Naval Operations as a requirements manager. It's a program that spends a lot of money. It's over $1 billion over 4 years, but the program has been going on for much longer than that, and it will continue to go on for much longer than that. I'm so happy to be here from Laurel, Maryland.
Okay, well, that's great. We have a mutual friend, Alexa Harris. Dr. Alexa thought you would be great for the podcast, and I'm so happy that she suggested you to be here, because after speaking with you and learning about your career, I just wanted to hear more about it. So let's get started. Now, tell us about how connections have been important to you in your career.
Connections have been so important in my career. So just one specific example, when I first moved up here from Mississippi to DC, I was working as an intern, and one of the first things I did was to seek out a mentor, and she connected me to a master's program in Tuskegee that this program paid for my master's, paid for my salary, and I got a government job when I finished that placed me back here in Indian Head, Maryland, and that started my career as an engineer in the government.
Wow. Did you work as an engineer before you before you had your master's?
No, well, yeah, when I did the internship, I was working,
Okay.
And then I had done several other internships over the summer while I was in school. But,
okay. All right. So after you finish your master's, you moved back to DC into this particular role, or were there other roles?
So I started off at the Naval Warfare Center, Indian Head, and there I was able to work on a lot of cool things. So they do rockets. If you've ever seen the helicopters where the people jump out, so they work on the parachutes. So all kind of cool things like this. They had bomb proofs that, if you felt a little tense about a day at work, you could go and see a bomb blow up. So all kind of cool things. I worked there for about 6 years, and then I moved on to the Navy Yard as an engineer, but working in a program management role for training systems. And so I worked there for about 4 years. Go ahead.
No. When you were working near the bombs and what was your role?
So I would work with testing, and that's what I started off working in, was testing, and then I moved to safety because I was kind of terrified. I wanted to make sure those things were safe. So there was something called insensitive munitions to make sure that when something dropped by mistake, that it didn't just blow up. So I was kind of the person to make sure that it blew up when we needed it to blow up, and not when it was in transit or something like that.
Have you ever been in the military?
No, I have no military experience. I was terrified of being in the military when I was in school. And so when the Navy and other DOD organizations came to like career fairs at Jackson State, I would say, no, I don't want to do that. Not understanding that there's a whole sector of DOD employees that are civilians that work for the military.
And see, I don't think people know that that's even a possibility.
No, I did not know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions. So you are a non-military employee working for the government in an engineering capacity. I found it fascinating.
Yeah, it's a huge, so like when I worked at the Naval Surface Warfare Center in Indian Head, there's a huge operation there, as well as at Navy Yard. I will say, working at the Pentagon, there are more military people that are in the military that work there, and a few civilians sprinkled in like myself.
Okay. Now, is it more guys? I mean, I'm just kind of picturing you being this only female, and there's just this
Oh,
group of guys around.
oh yeah. So in my current role, I will say in the other positions, there were more engineers, so it was a lot more diverse. But going to the Pentagon, I am the only woman. There's not much diversity at all. It's really no Black people, and then there's no nobody without military experience. And then here I come. So
How
it
did
was
you get?
definitely a
Oh,
challenge.
wow. And so how did you get your role? What's kind of what is in your background that makes you so different that they were like, we want her for this particular position? I mean, or do you know that?
Yes, I do know because so when I first got the position, the people that hired me were not there. So the person that came to pick me up and escort me because I didn't have all my badges and stuff at the time. Plus, the Pentagon is super confusing. Anybody that has been in there has probably been lost in there as well if you didn't have anybody to show you around. So
Right.
the person that came to get me, they were like, "So what's your connection to this job?" And so this was something that for my first few weeks, I'm wondering, I'm like, why did they hire me? Why did they hire me? So I just so happened to see one, because I had two people that interviewed me. So maybe after I'd been at the job about 2 weeks, I ran into one of the ladies that hired me. She was like, "Oh, we're so happy that you're here. You have a great personality and you have so much experience working at Indian Head and at the Navy Yard, and we interface with them all the time. So we wanted you to be here." So,
Oh, I
I
see.
had to answer that question because when I first got there, I'm like, did they pick me? Was I a diversity hire? Am I the right person for the job? So I got that question answered.
So it's really your experience and probably a combination of your undergraduate and your graduate degree. You have a degree in physics, right?
Yeah, physics and then systems and electrical engineering.
Okay. Is that what your master's is in, electrical engineering?
Yeah, systems and electrical engineering. It was
Wow.
a Navy focus. So the program that my mentor told me about, it was in his first year. So this was a Navy specific degree. I took classes in sonar, radar, things that are important to the Navy. So I am the right person for the job. I know now. But at the time, I was definitely questioning myself.
Yeah, yeah. I was very interested in that. So can you tell us a bit about, do you lead a team? Is your team diverse, or you literally are the only brown female around?
Yeah, I don't lead a team. I have a contractor that supports me, but we interface a lot with the people at the Navy Yard, and I kind of give them guidance on what's needed. So I'm kind of like that middle person, but the thing that makes the job tough is that I have people to answer or people asking me questions at the Navy Yard, kind of one level below. That's echelon 2, and then also at the Pentagon, an admiral and SES might call me and be like, "I need you to come up to my office right now and tell me about your foreign military sales." So it's a pretty tough job when times like that happen.
That's amazing. I love this. So, you, I had a few conversations going on in my head. I know when we spoke before, we talked about you guys partnering with like corporate America. So you kind of work with the industries and not just work in more of a military role, yeah?
Right. So most of our contracts and things like that are let from the program office at the Navy Yard, but I still have to make sure that what we pay for is what we're getting, and to make sure that the program office is not going off say, "Oh, we can do this, so let's do this." I'm kind of there to stop and say, "No, as the warfighter, this is what we need to do. We don't need that just because you can do it."
I
So
see.
that's a lot of oversight on my role, so people probably don't like to see me coming sometimes. Because I'm like, no, that's not the right way, which is a struggle, especially for me stepping into this career, stepping into this job without having the military experience. And me being such a logical person, I'm the type that I need to know that I'm correct 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before I come and tell you that that's not correct. So that's something that is an ongoing struggle, but I'm working through it, you know, without having that military experience, but learning to lean more on the people that do.
I would say that a lot of people believe that the military is, you know, and federal agencies are kind of big and clumsy and not so innovative. Are there misconceptions about, you know, you guys and how you work?
I think that that can be true, but on the program that I'm working on now, we're taking advantage of agile development. We work a lot with, we do rely on our industry partners because they are not as risk averse as the government is. We want to rely on them to be able to take those risks. So currently we're making changes, software changes to one of the programs that I'm working with, and we're doing agile development. So we make a
Wow.
change, put it into the system, see how it works, get feedback from the user, and then come back with additional changes instead of just kind of dumping everything in at one time. So we're trying, but by the nature of how the government was made to do things, it can be a little clumsy and cumbersome, but we're, you know, we're working with that, but we just don't want to take that many risks.
I see.
I'm sure
So a
the
lot of
as the American people, you would like for us to not be as risky with your money because it's taxpayer dollars that we're working with.
So you say you rely on your industry partners, so the innovation comes from industry and you partner with industry. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. It's my job to know what's out there, to see what technology we can take advantage of, and to say, okay, maybe that's something that can work. But we want the technology to be mature enough before we put it into our military.
I see.
So we do have programs that we say, okay, this could be cool. We just need to develop it a little bit more. So we will, you know, pay to develop it, and if it can be developed, then we'll insert it. We won't just insert it like, oh, that's a cool idea and it worked one time.
Right. Okay. Now we talked a little bit about, you know, your team being diverse. So you are in a millennial? Are you a lot younger? So you're different in every way. You're
Oh
young.
yeah, I mean when you think about, and so especially with COVID now, I'm one of the people with young kids, and so that's turning out to be another struggle because a lot of the other people, you know, the Pentagon has not shut down. They can just continue to go to work, and
Mm,
I can't. So that's
I see.
another thing that separates me.
Right. So you're a mom. Yeah, of course, you're a woman. Um, younger than most of the people that you work with. Um, and also out of the military. Was your group acceptive of your arrival? Were they inclusive?
I can say not. I don't think they just. I was just kind of not really included at first, especially coming in at the level that I did. I should have been involved in a lot more of the meetings. Sometimes, you know, one person would kind of stop by and say, oh, well, you know, we're having a meeting for the leads, and I guess you're a lead, so maybe you should be there. And this would be when they were on the way to the meeting,
So you
you
have,
know, so yeah, that has
right,
happened. The other day, um, this guy emails my boss and my contractor, so not me, my boss and my contractor, and says, okay, this might be happening. And so my boss was like, well, why didn't you know, Tylvia is the lead on this. And so he emails back, welcome aboard, Tylvia. And so I'm just sitting there like, I've been here for a year and I know you. Like, I know exactly how you take your coffee. Like, we sit not too far from each other. So how can you not know me? But with stuff like that, I that's like a microaggression. You don't know if it's because I'm not in the military. Did he really just
right,
forgive me? Is it because I'm
right.
black? Is it because I'm a woman? So stuff like that, I try not to focus too much on and just focus on the things that I can, you know, work on.
Okay. And and that kind of leaves me like, do you feel differently? Do you feel included? Do you feel that it's a non-factor? And do you have to think about being, you know, an African American woman working in your environment? Do you have to think about that on a daily basis?
I feel included, and I feel until something happens to make me not feel included. So, you know, I could be working every day and nothing is mentioned, and then all of a sudden, you know, sexual harassment training to come up, and then I heard somebody say, nobody's gonna rape anybody. Why do we have to go to sexual harassment training? So things like that will happen, and I'm like, okay, it does happen, you know.
It does
So
happen.
we do need to go to training. So I think just the diversity is important so people can understand other people's perspectives, especially in technology, because, you know, everybody has a lot to bring to know, okay, I think that could be a great idea, but sometimes it can be stifled in organizations or when you feel like, you know, nobody's going to listen to me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I know that you also went to an HBCU. There's lots of people trying to make that decision, you know, to go to a majority school versus a historically Black college or university, especially now after Homecoming, after Beyonce's big, you know, Netflix thing and Coachella. Are there any advantages from you being a graduate of a HBCU that you could say that would help people make their decision?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is the network, and I think that's often discounted, but we have a small but mighty network. I see it on LinkedIn. Almost any organization that I would want to work for, we have alumni working there. And when I graduated, it was maybe like between 10 to 20 of us that all came to DC from Mississippi, and we work in all different organizations. So I will say don't discount that HBCU network.
Wow. Okay. Now, and both of your degrees are with the HBCU, so you can't necessarily speak to the um, um, for anyone that came from that are looking for a majority space. Because I couldn't.
Well, no, yeah, both of them are, but I can say that when I graduated, you know, and I went to Jackson State, majored in engineering, came out with a physics degree. But I know other people who graduated with me and they maybe went to some of those PWI schools. The same support systems were not there for them they weren't able to come out with that science degree. So we had a very, very supportive physics department and engineering department. It was very well funded. I was able to go on internships as much as I wanted to. So, you know, and then I was able to have those connections with my classmates that, okay, because you have to have study groups when you're studying, you know, Calculus 3, you have to be invited to the study group. So that was some of the things that I heard that, you know, we didn't know when the study group was coming on. It was just me in the class. Nobody wanted to study group. I didn't have those problems at all. Like, we had fun study groups, and anybody could come.
And do you feel that, you know, because you have a physics degree, do you see other African Americans majoring in physics, and do you see other avenues for them as far as a career in that type of science?
I don't see many people majoring in physics at all, but I will say that so we had about 5 people that graduated with me. One is me, and then one is a teacher, one is a business owner, one got their PhD, and one is a dentist. So I will say it's one of the more, you know, it's a very, you can do almost anything with it.
Okay, all right. Do you have any type of advice for engineering majors or science majors?
I will say definitely make your summers count. I've been working about 11 years, and people still look at the experience from my internships and they say, oh, that's impressive. I can't believe you did that. You know, some of the things that were offered to us, one summer I went to Berkeley and I discovered an asteroid. You know, that was something that we
Wow.
Yes. Yes. So I say definitely don't discount summers.
Wow, Tylvia, you just dropping gems, literally.
Yeah. And so that was one of the fun ones. But one summer I worked as a civil engineering major, and I was like, I don't like anything about this. I don't like putting on the little vest, going out on the road and counting. I didn't like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, you had a good opportunity in a very low risk way to try out things that you might want to do and find out what you might not want to do.
Right. So you need that internship to kind of show you what you don't, because it's about weeding things out.
Yeah.
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 Now you've got this heavy position, like literally. I mean, you know, you've got a serious role. You have a husband. You have a toddler. How do you manage it all, especially at home during COVID?
I will say COVID, oh my gosh, it's been a struggle because on one hand, my boss does not have kids, does not really have sympathy, and he's like, this is what I need to get done, and I don't care. You know, the government, like, okay, you can work from home, but I need everything from you now. And also, he's constantly asking me to come into the office. So that's a big struggle where when this thing first started, I was kind of like toggling the mute button. So whenever my toddler comes in running, screaming, I would just press mute. But now I'm just like, this is my life. This is his house. Sometimes I just say, hey, you know, just to let y'all know, I have a toddler in the background. You know, I will just try to balance it as much as possible. My husband, he's an essential worker, so he has to go out. So when this thing first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to cook. And I just felt like I had to do more because I was at home and he was going out. But now I'm like, no, I'm just going to give myself grace. Like, it's hard for me when I'm at home by myself, you know, just me and my toddler. So I try to plan a couple of activities for him that correlates when I'm doing things. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it's an awesome experience. So every day is different. I love being able to be more hands-on with my child. It's going to be very hard to get me to go back. Because, I mean, I'm loving it, you know, at 2, teaching him his ABCs and that type of thing. Is, you know, it's the joy of life.
Yes, it is. And, you know, you can't control everything. You can't do So anyway, I wanted to hear from you because I know that you got your hands full over there, like seriously. Love to hear from tips from other moms who are going to be helpful to other women, and just to give the women that are not moms a kind of understanding of what we are having to deal with. And when they're family planning, they can see like, hey, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the sweetest things that I will ever experience because he can yell and this, and then when I get those little kisses and hugs, it's like it makes up for everything. So,
well, your role is like,
he's at a good age now where I can try to get him involved in the cooking. He loves to cook. He loves to clean. So, you know, trying to be able to teach some of those life skills is fun too.
And how old is he now?
2. He'll be 3 in August.
Oh wow!
Yes.
It's coming, and so just in a few months.
Yes.
I have a 3-year-old as well. We call her a 3-nager. She's something else. Yeah, she's like a little woman. Baby's body. She's got everything all figured out. Don't even get me started. I'll go on and on. As moms, that's what we tend to do.
Yeah, toddlers are so fun.
Yes, they are. Sarcastic and serious.
Yes.
Tylvia, it's been so great talking to you. You make me so proud. I'm very proud to talk to you. You are amazing. I really wanted you here to talk about this really different role that you're in. You're making me proud with the whole military, to being a Black girl and having all this. So thanks so much for sharing. I appreciate you and love to talk to you anytime. You take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.